Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this webinar. This is the third in a series of 5 webinars that Modality are broadcasting. This session will be 30 minutes long and will cover the planning and readiness phases around a secure landing zone. I'm Matt McAvoy. I am the lead principal architect working with Modality. I'm also an Azure evangelist, and I am the principal lead on the secure landing zone, which is a product that we've developed within Modality. Also on this webinar today, we have Matt O'Connor, who's a cloud specialist. I don't know if Matt wants to introduce himself because he's got a bit of a sore throat. But we also have Luke Fussell, who is a Microsoft CSA and has provided an incredible amount of help and input and code, and has been a massive advocate of the Modality Secure Landing Zone based on the Microsoft CAF. Luke, if you want to introduce yourself, and if Matt, if you feel up to it, you can kind of run through your experience and cloud specialization role. Luke, over to you.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Luke Fussell. So I'm a cloud solution architect at Microsoft, working with partners to develop cloud solutions. My main focus is the cloud adoption framework, migration and automation, which we'll be talking a bit more today with Modality. I'm very happy to be joining.
Matt, do you want to do an intro, or do you want to?
I think I'll give it a miss, Matt, if that's all right. So...
That's no worries. As you can tell everybody, Matt's not feeling very well, but he's soldiering on because he's that kind of guy.
Thanks, Matt.
So I'll jump to the next slide. This is a slide about Modality, basically kind of just showing our kind of CV, just kind of proving to people on the webinar today that we are a well-established Microsoft business. We're not a fly-by-night business. We've got some great awards. We've got some incredible competencies. Where we have a team of developers. We've got a range of very highly skilled, highly experienced experts. At the moment we have 2 Microsoft valued professionals. Microsoft Central Cloud Communications Managed Services business, and we've been kind of leveraging our experience on our own IP to deliver business value to our customers through digital transformation. We kind of build solutions. We use Azure as a platform to kind of to host those solutions, and we work with lots of different companies, SMC and SME, and even small businesses. So today we are going to run through the CAF, the Cloud Adoption Framework with Modality, around the plan and readiness stages. And this webinar will touch on many of the steps shown. Your organization already has technology investments, so you need to understand your current state and then develop a prioritization plan for your cloud journey. So today we'll kind of look at rationalizing the digital estate, organization alignment, so aligning governance and cloud adoption to mitigate the risks, a skills readiness plan and kind of getting your people ready, identify skills and gaps, or partnering with a Microsoft CSP like Modality, and a cloud adoption plan, which kind of will create an actionable adoption plan that aligns to your business strategy. It's really key to pay particular interest to rationalizing your estate, as this is where you can maximize return on investment and minimize risks by running workload assessments. And with that, I'll move to the next slide. So rationalizing your digital estate. What is rationalizing your digital estate? It's about evaluating the assets and determining the best approach to host them in the cloud, whether that is going to be a full private cloud or full public cloud, or a mixture of both, or a hybrid connection. It's that rationalization you should look at using an incremental approach, or the power of 10, as Microsoft have coined it, where your cloud strategy team selects the first 10 applications, and those applications are a mix of simple applications and complex applications. and this is the recommended approach that Microsoft have identified in the CAF. Modality also recommend carrying out that incremental rationalization approach. As a complete rationalization of your digital estate can be prone to risk, and you can suffer delays because of its complexity, particularly if you pick the wrong the wrong application sets or the wrong data sets to move to Azure. The assumption behind the incremental approach is that delayed decisions will have an impact and a load on the business, and can they can increase the roadblocks, whereas an incremental approach kind of reduce the risks of roadblocks. Over time, an incremental approach creates an organic model for developing the processes and experience required to make qualified rationalization decisions more efficiently. And also, as well as it aligns cost models with a digital estate to focus cloud costs. After you've rationalized your digital estate, you can align it to the equivalent costing models with the chosen cloud provider, in this case, Azure. You may also need a pricing tool, and a couple that come to mind are the Azure Migrate and the TCO calculator. And these will kind of give you an estimated monthly bill, and they can also be used to understand how much it's going to cost you to move current workloads from an on-premise into the cloud. You can also work with a partner like Modality, and we can kind of help you with Azure budgets and create billing alerts to notify you when your spend is about to exceed a particular point. And at this point, I'll hand across to Luke, who can kind of give you some further input around kind of rationalizing your digital estate and the benefit it can provide. Luke, I don't know if you want to come in there and provide some input.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. So the cloud adoption framework really is built to help align the sort of business, people, technology strategy into the cloud journey, really. And the planning is all about really converting the goals of your strategy, which we discussed in the last webinar, into key actions. And you've got a great approach here with the rationalized digital estate. And there's many tools available now, like you've mentioned, Azure Migrate, third-party tools, which can assess sort of everything that you have currently. But often you need a lot more context of that, like you mentioned, things like what particular applications you have, what business outcomes you're kind of trying to drive, to really identify the key workloads that you need to focus on, and to do things like pricing based on that sort of context rather than just all up. So yeah, we see this as a great part of the planning, to really look at what you have in a meaningful way, which can feed later into the process when we look at things like 5Rs and how we'd actually go to migrate and move workloads to the cloud.
Perfect. Thanks for that, Luke. So the next slide is also part of your planning stage, and this is about creating your adoption plan. And this is where it requires input from lots of different people within your business. They can be stakeholders, they can be technical, and they can be end users. And this is a great way of finding that balance effectively. If you got that balance, it allows you to kind of move very quickly and also to reduce risks. So the cloud adoption can't happen without having well-organized people. A successful cloud adoption is the result of properly skilled people doing the appropriate types of work in alignment with clearly defined business goals and in a well-managed environment. And to deliver that kind of effective operating model for the cloud, it's important to establish the appropriate staffed organizational structures. And this is where that kind of org alignment comes into effect, where you've got, you're aligning governance and cloud adoption to mitigate the risks. So as part of your planning stage, one of the key factors is rationalizing the estate, to understand what it is you're going to move and how you're going to move that, and what will move to the cloud and what won't. You're aligning your teams correctly with the relevant workloads, governance, and compliance parts of the business and security. And you're also looking at a skills readiness plan. And this is where you are you're aligning technology shifts, and you're aligning skills required to support those solutions. You're also working with different stakeholders from the business. but it's also a shift in the mindset from a pre-cloud thinking to a kind of a post-cloud approach. And during that kind of ready phase of the migration journey, the objective is to prepare for the journey ahead. This phase is accomplished in two primary areas: organizational readiness and environmental readiness, which is the technical side of things. And each one will require a new skill for both technical and non-technical contributors. And if we look at organizational readiness, depending on the motivations and business outcomes associated with a cloud adoption effort, leaders may be required to establish new organizational structures or virtual teams to facilitate various functions. Cloud adoption is a strategic change that requires involvement from both business decision makers and end users. And this is where you can get your organization ready for this journey. So skills readiness plan is about defining skills and support readiness. So create and implement skills readiness plan to address the current gaps, ensure that IT and business people are ready for the change and the new technologies, define those support needs, creating a landing zone and set up a migration target in the cloud to handle those prioritized applications. It's also a great way to kind of encourage your team to learn new skills, and also to kind of have that cross-functional organizational wide learning plan, so you are enhancing people's futures as part of this adoption into the cloud.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. And I'll just say on that we've seen with really can be any number of cloud journeys. Really, there can be a lot of organizational change and role change as part of the cloud journey, and this can lead to times when individuals or teams can maybe feel excluded from part of the journey, which can lead to blockers, and maybe they're not seeing really a development path or a role in the future organization as things move to cloud. So we see skills readiness is a really important factor to make sure that your teams are included and going with you on the journey. And most often the people who are actually key in roles might be some of those people in the organization who aren't as familiar with cloud, such as perhaps things like networking, security teams, and operations that really need to ensure the smooth running of the team. So things like certifications, workshops, hackathons, and sort of this organizational alignment can really help identify and give clarity to teams and individuals to really get them included on the journey and help you progress at a faster and smoother rate. So yeah, I just want to reiterate how important we see skills readiness in the cloud journey.
Perfect. So as part of your journey, it's always a great idea to have the adoption plan documented, and that should in theory effectively have the actionable outcomes that you want to achieve aligned to your strategy. And this looks at things like your prerequisites, so confirming that all those prerequisite steps have been completed before you create the plan. It's defining and prioritizing those workloads, which is part of that kind of rationalization of the estate, and then that kind of power of 10, which we spoke about earlier. It's also about aligning those assets, so identify which assets are required to support those kind of prioritized workloads, and those assets are people as well as technology. And then it's kind of reviewing that rationalization decisions and kind of refining that further to make sure that you can either migrate your environment, or you need to innovate your environment. And that's a constant reviewing process that you go through as part of this cloud adoption journey, and that should also form part of your plan. And then there's kind of defining those iterations and releases. So you're going to have time blocks allocated to do the work. The releases are definitions of the work that are going to be done, and then basically what triggers those releases to move them from a kind of a test environment to a production environment. And then you have your estimated timelines, so establishing those timelines, and then kind of releasing those planning processes. There's a couple of key points. The cloud adoption involves both business decision makers and end users, and it's key to kind of have that as part of your cloud adoption plan. Also, as part of that is aligning those skills which we touched on before to the different areas of that cloud adoption plan. Oh, I forgot. There's also a number of different takeaways here as well. So you can define your business case, include its drivers and the business benefits, look at the migration team roles and responsibilities, look at the skill set and training required to enable that successful migration, allocate the budget for a complete migration, and then kind of your migration strategy and how you can avoid risks in the migration project to avoid delays or reworks. So there's a couple of key takeaway points there for having that cloud adoption plan. This will be your Bible effectively to that you can kind of go back to and revert back to any kind of changes. So as part of your cloud adoption plan, Modality and Microsoft have a template, and that template will effectively have your cloud adoption plan, converting those kind of aspirational goals to the cloud adoption strategy into an actionable plan. All the teams leveraging the cloud adoption plan and the technical efforts required, and there's also a template effectively that's available. We can send that template to customers, or we can kind of give you a sample template. And depending on where you are in your journey at the moment, Modality can help in numerous ways. And that's helping to develop the business justification model for your organization, identify business outcomes that can be mapped to specific cloud capabilities and business strategies. And this will help kind of deliver that transformational desired state. And also, as well as kind of it's documenting all those outcomes and business strategies and how they serve the foundation of your organizational cloud adoption plan. Key steps here are reviewing the business outcomes, identifying those leading metrics that best represent the progress toward an identifiable business outcome, establishing a financial model that aligns with the outcomes and learning, and then looking at those kind of two major actions about rationalizing your digital estate and creating your cloud adoption plan. The 5 R's which Luke touched on before, they're all kind of around your kind of rehost, refactor, re-architecting the environment, rebuilding or replacing that environment as well. And during the process, I said we've touched on this before. We always recommend that you proceed with an incremental approach.
Yeah, that's excellent, Matt. And yeah, I think it's really important to have these sort of key decisions recorded, so you can kind of refer to them as part of the journey. It can be a living document to adjust this as plans may change in future, or you may adopt newer technologies, and to really look at where, like you say, key things like the 5R strategy of how you're going to actually move applications, where you're going to target things like migration workloads or sort of innovation workloads with new development work. And how you're going to use things like your data in the sort of new model of cloud. So all this stuff's really important to capture there. So yeah, excellent. It's great to see things like takeaways from this of real living documents.
So at this point, you've established your business justifications and you've defined your business outcomes. You've prepared your organization. Your people in your Azure environments are ready to deploy those prioritized applications and those workloads that you've identified, and you're ready to adopt cloud strategies following the selected digital estate rationalization path. Luke, I don't know if you want to kind of go through how landing zones can be utilized for migration and innovation.
Sure. So there's a lot of work going into landing zones. There has been for quite some months and years now, really, but certainly right now there's a lot of work going into how we define best practices with this, and it's constantly in change, as with a number of things within cloud, really. But the key things that we look for as part of landing zones is really where, as kind of the name implies, really somewhere that you can land workloads into cloud. So when you've got something like a new application development project or a new infrastructure project, then you'll have somewhere that you can have ready to go with things like networking, security, governance in place to be able to connect back to the rest of your cloud networking and on-premise environments, and sort of easily have a place to hand over essentially to these different teams. So one of the key things we talk about is subscription democratization. And this is really the ability to create a subscription and hand it over to a team in a day, really, or as short a time as possible, where they can get on and start working with that, really, rather than having to have a many weeks or many months projects to actually go and deploy and get things ready before it can even be handed over to a team. So automation really fits in heavily here. So things like infrastructure as code, Azure policy to do sort of automated governance and things like that, and really getting good speed of delivery or improved speed of delivery, good reporting, and organizational wide controls to manage this at a top level and make the things like subscription creation much easier and simpler in an organization.
Yeah, thanks, Luke. And what we find at Modality, what Modality found, I think what Microsoft have found, which is one of the reasons why we're going down this kind of CAF route and the landing zones, is that customers, they need to kind of manage those environments at scale. They need to implement well thought out naming conventions so they can understand what workload is doing what and who the ownership, who has the owners of that, and that's normally applied through tagging. And again, as well, that kind of that democratization is that role separation and resource segregation. And this is how Modality have kind of built that kind of secure landing zone, which is almost like a guardrail as code, which Luke has helped develop with Modality going forward. We have an example of what a secure landing zone looks like, and we've deployed this for several customers. In financial services, and as you can see, we've kind of taken that previous slide and we've kind of broken that down a bit further into what Modality would do as part of our kind of secure landing zone. We've got those kind of those management hierarchical capabilities and policies, and at a high level, effectively, you should have policy, which is your governance. You should have identity, which is the management spoke of that landing zone. Networking provide you with separation, and the data storage and compute sections of the landing zone are all around kind of where you can migrate to or how you can innovate to. So this is an example of what Modality would deploy as part of our secure landing zone. I don't know if we have any questions which have been put through in the chat. I don't think we have any there at the moment. But if you do have any questions or you wish to kind of engage with Modality to find out more about the CAF framework, how Modality implement that CAF framework, how Modality work with you to implement that cloud adoption piece, and any other kind of questions that you may have around Azure, you can definitely send those questions across to myself or to Matt O'Connor, and we'll endeavour to answer those questions. So our next webinar, I did mention this is only a half an hour webinar. So that's gonna happen on the 22nd of October, and that's effectively a journey to the cloud, and that's a migration masterclass. So how you should migrate, what you should be doing to migrate going forward. So I hope you can join us for that session. We've kind of finished 5 minutes early, which is always good. And I'd like to thank you for everyone who attended the webinar today. And so if you've got any questions, it'd be really good to kind of go through those questions, and we can kind of respond to you via email. So thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. Hope you have a good day, and catch up soon. Thanks. Bye now.
Yeah, thank you very much, Matt.